Stop watching YouTube for fitness advice. It can get a little bit weird on this platform. And obviously, this video might seem a bit odd given this is a YouTube channel to help you on your fitness journey. And here I am telling you to stop watching YouTube. And yeah, obviously, I think there are some good channels out there that will help you on your fitness journey. I like to believe this is one of them, but there are definitely others that can really help you, that help me. But in my opinion, I think there's a lot of YouTube channels that are not going to be the most helpful for your fitness journey. And in this video, I'm not going to single out any video. I'm actually not trying to attack any one video or any one channel. But I'm trying to get to the heart of fitness culture on YouTube that I tend to see that I think is causing issues for people's fitness and even personal journey, and is making it very difficult for people to have, a positive, fun, sustainable, shame-free fitness journey. So in this video, I want to talk about 3 main issues I see with fitness culture on YouTube, fitness advice on YouTube. And from, the first to the last, it's going to go from, a bit more innocuous to a bit more insidious. And yeah, I'm hoping with this, I can not, can get you to stop watching YouTube for fitness advice in terms of the specific channels that fall into these categories, and kind of guide you to just be more intentional with what you watch on YouTube for your fitness journey. For me, this has been a journey where when I started watching fitness content on YouTube, I just took whatever it came in because I thought everything is helpful and everything is equal. But over time, I've gotten a lot more intentional of what I watch, because I want my fitness journey to not just be, let me get the best exercises or get some generic motivation, but actually be intentional of what's the right type of motivation, what's the right type of advice, because I want to work out in a way that feels fun, that feels like it'll last me forever, and then just that makes me feel good. So, that's where I come from. I've gone through this thing of watching every fitness YouTube channel under the sun to now being very intentional with what I watch. So I'd like to go into the few reasons why I would recommend you to stop watching certain YouTube channels. So the first reason is over optimization. So this reason is, much more innocuous and much more well-intentioned. And what this essentially is that, a lot of YouTube channels here are incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly passionate about fitness. But I think the blind spot they have is that they go, to make these videos with the mindset that every viewer will be just as interested in optimization and just as interested, just as passionate about fitness. But for a lot of people, they don't have the time to over-optimize everything. It can be really anxiety-inducing and not even really help them get started. And they just might not be passionate about fitness, and that's totally okay. For some people, it can just be like brushing your teeth. I just need to do it a couple times a week, but it's not something I'm going to be passionate about. And even for people who are passionate about it, they just might not have the time, and they just don't need these types of over-optimized videos. And so, for example of that is that there's so many channels and so many videos out there that'll make, content around the best 50 tricep exercises, the best exercises for your chest, this exercise you must do, but they've made 50 of these must do exercises. So, to do all of those, you would need to spend 2+ hours in the gym 6 days a week to get all of those exercises in. And then optimization on what's the best workout split, and what's, the best equipment, what are the best exercises. And it's just so much information that, yeah, it just ends up becoming a really kind of clinical thing of just oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. There's so many exercises. Where do I start? What do I do? And the goals are mismatched, because for a regular person, our goal isn't to optimize the amount of muscle and strength and mobility we're getting. We're just trying to move our body in a way that feels good and will last forever. So we don't need this optimized routine. We sometimes don't even need, the craziest programming that gets us from week 1 to week 12 in this very structured way. We just need some guidance on how to start, how to keep going, how to be minimal, what exercise, like a few exercises that could be good to start, but also some of the mindsets to just keep this journey feeling good. So yeah, I think that, and for me, watching all those over optimized videos, I would just come out with like so much anxiety because I didn't have the time to do all of these. I was so confused on which exercises to do, what routines to have. And until I started following YouTube channels that were more focused on, my personal fitness journey, more focused on having something that feels sustainable, kind of breaking out of the like, these are the must do exercises, but more just like, yeah, just do what feels good. Try this will be pretty fun. Yeah, like as long as you're doing it X way, the way I like to think is like, as long as you're, picking up a weight and putting it overhead, you're probably fine. And again, you don't have to do that. I'm just giving one example. Like the way some YouTube channels I've seen talk are a bit more relaxed, a bit more kind of, yeah, just do your thing. Don't stress too much. And so, yeah, I think that kind of over-optimized route as opposed to just a more relaxed, integrated route is a big issue in YouTube fitness, and it's just gonna make so many people anxious, and they won't start, or they'll get burnt out, or they just get confused. So, that's the first issue I see. So, the second reason I would say to be more intentional, stop watching certain YouTube channels, is there's just a lot of shame and toxicity in the fitness culture space. So I've talked about this a lot, but on YouTube, you will see a lot of channels really genuinely think that shame is a great motivating tool. I've seen big fitness YouTube channels that say, how is anyone going to work out if I don't shame them? And genuinely say that with like an intensity that I'm kind of perplexed and a little bit disgusted by, for lack of a better word, because, when you shame someone and make them feel bad, it could lead to some motivation, but A, that motivation might not last. B, if it does, then they might just end up developing really unhealthy, mental thoughts about their fitness journey, or literal bad habits like eating disorders or just mental health issues. And C, a lot of them are just not going to start. When you shame someone, a lot of times it just makes them feel worse, and it doubles down their negative behavior as opposed to, enforcing them. And, I think people literally think that people might not, do something if you don't shame them. But I think positive reinforcement and positive encouragement can actually be very motivating. When someone feels good about themselves, they do not want to just, sit on the couch, which that's fine to occasionally sit on the couch and watch TV. But like what I'm trying to say is that when you positively encourage someone, a lot of research has shown that people do not get complacent, is what I'm trying to say. They actually feel motivated to change and improve when they feel a sense of home within themselves, a sense of love within themselves. They're actually going to move. So what I see on YouTube is, people just shaming regular people for how they work out. And you see it in all types of forms. You see that they say they're not serious enough, and they make all these videos on very like military-like mindsets around fitness, and like you need to lock in and be serious, and not see your friends, and treat the gym like a battlefield, and and if you're not thinking like that, then you're not actually serious, and you're not, you're weak, or you're not taking life seriously enough, and you're gonna fail. So you see that's, see shame with the type of mindset. Then you see shame with the actual workouts that, oh, if you're doing I've seen if you're doing kettlebells, that's not real lifting, that's useless. You need to be using barbells to actually be working out, or you need to be using dumbbells to actually be working out. So people are literally already doing their workouts, and they're getting shamed for not doing it the right type of exercises, or the right type of equipment, or the number of days, or the right workout split. Like, oh, you're doing full body, you should be doing upper lower split, or that's not really going to help you. And so they're, feeling, they're trying to shame people for how they work out. And then there's a lot of shame on identity. YouTube fitness space is also incredibly male dominated. And obviously, I'm a guy too. I think anyone should be allowed to talk in fitness. But when it's so male dominated, what can also happen is that a lot of these channels create a very overly aggressive, overly kind of masculine energy that's just, in my opinion, very unwelcome and very toxic, where, they say like, this is lifting weights this way is what makes a real man, which, for guys, that's going to be a very intimidating and very toxic way to think. And then if you're like a gender minority, then you're not even going to feel welcome in these spaces. And so that level of like, aggressive, toxic, masculine type of energy is it just makes it feel so like, not a very like wholesome type of experience getting into lifting weights, getting into the gym. It's going to just create this kind of like dark energy around it. That's not, lifting weights should feel like playing a sport with your friends. It should feel like self-exploration. It should feel like self-discovery. It should feel like playtime. It should feel like all these positive things. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of YouTube fitness advice does not lean in that direction. It leads into like a shame and toxic direction. And, I definitely, when I would watch some of these motivation videos, I would feel like, man, I need to build more muscle, or I need to do these workouts, or I'm not going to be able to respect myself. And it's like, I'm coming in with so much insecurity, and so much, just negative emotions. And until I started watching YouTube channels that, really focus on the joy of fitness and focus on the joy of working out, that's when I started feeling better. And that's actually when I started working out more and actually started seeing better results, ironically, when I actually started coming from a positive space. And I had to follow the right YouTube channels to do that. So the final reason, and I think this is the most insidious, is that there's an alt-right pipeline for a lot of these fitness channels. And I know this is leaning more political, but I think what I'm trying, and I think I'm not trying to necessarily get into politics itself, but I'm trying to say that there are factions of this alt-right place that is downright hateful towards a lot of minority groups and women and different countries that don't deserve this hate. And so it's really bizarre, but a lot of these fitness channels, they act as sometimes pipelines to inundate those types of alt-right political agendas to people. And I've seen that happen where, some of these channels, they start talking about just general self-improvement and fitness, and then you watch them, they start to make videos that are more hateful and more against all types of people. And, I think just being very careful on YouTube of, if you're watching a fitness channel, see what they believe in. And, people might think, oh, I can just get my fitness advice from anyone. But, you are supporting, everything that you are supporting, their agenda if you're not intentional about the YouTube channels you're following. And so for an individual, as you're getting inundated with fitness advice from certain YouTube channels, these channels also tend to, bring in some of these more toxic and hateful ideas towards other people. And I think what happens is that it starts off with self-improvement, but then the self-improvement mindset transforms into a sense of it's all about personal responsibility, and there's no systemic issues. And if anyone complains about systemic issues, they're just not working hard enough, or they're being a victim, or they just need to get in the gym or something and just fix themselves. And that, from there, then when you're not acknowledging systemic issues, it can turn into downright hate. And so I've seen fitness channels that I previously thought were just trying to get fitness advice start to push really hateful types of ideas. And so, I know this one is a bit different from the other two because it's even less fitness related, but I do think, it's just important to just be careful with following YouTube channels that also have the values that you believe in. I think any advice, it could on the surface be general advice, but everything has its values that underline it. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of YouTube channels have very hateful values when they're pushing their fitness advice. So yeah, it's just good to be careful about the types of channels that you watch, because you can either be supporting some of these hateful ideas, or you yourself might be vulnerable to falling in that pipeline. And not saying you're going to become brainwashed or anything, but those ideas could just become more normalized because, you know, personal responsibility and self-improvement are great things, but when they be taken to an extreme, that can be turned into hate towards people who are struggling because of systemic issues or life issues. So yeah, and I think that's just a toxic part of YouTube fitness that I really don't despise and don't like, and I think is really harmful for society and for everyday people. So just, again, being more intentional with the YouTube channels you watch, that and finding ones that really preach love and joy, that's just going to lead to a much more positive experience because you're going to be ingesting fitness advice from people who project a sense of love and optimism and positivity and empathy and inclusion. And these are important things we need in fitness. I think at the end of the day, yes, fitness advice can be very, clinical and prescriptive, but it also should have values of empathy and inclusion because those have been big issues in the fitness industry and the fitness space on YouTube. So yeah, those are 3 reasons why I would say, quote unquote, stop watching YouTube on fitness advice, but really just being more intentional with it. And in this part, I can name a few channels that, I find are positive. So, and I can link those channels in the description. So Dan John is a strength coach, and he really preaches, everyday fitness for regular people. He has, a kind personality. He doesn't, get so bogged down with like 20 types of exercises. He really recommends minimalist approaches. He also talks about making sure fitness is a part of your life and you're spending good time with your family and just enjoying life and all of those things. And he takes an approach to fitness that makes it feel like he's talking to a regular person living a regular life, not, a bodybuilder. Another channel is Hybrid Calisthenics. This channel is more calisthenics focused, but Hampton, who runs that channel, is a very, very kind, gentle type of personality. He really, approaches things with a sense of self-love, then shame, and just has a certain kindness and warmth when he brings in his videos, and he tries to encourage people towards sustainable routines. Another great channel is The Bioneer, and this one, he actually has lots of different types of video. He loves all types of fitness. So on the surface, his channel might look like a little bit overwhelming because he talks about all types of exercises. But in his philosophy, he's just giving you all these options. But he really acknowledges, doing a fitness routine that works for you, doing what you want, not being dogmatic with your thinking. He's also made videos against some of the hateful part of YouTube fitness. So he really takes a stand on promoting positive and inclusive values. And one more channel that that I'll mention is also Sohi Carpenter, and she makes a lot of videos. Right now she's doing a little bit more YouTube shorts, but still great videos on just having an empathetic approach to fitness, doing what works for you, acknowledging systemic issues, especially talking a lot about like eating disorders and healthy mindsets around food and exercise. So yeah, these are 4 great channels that I feel like really make the fitness journey fun, sustainable, shame-free, and are inspirations for me as I work on this channel. And me not acknowledging any others is not saying everyone but these 4 suck. That's why I didn't name a single negative channel, because I don't want this to be an attack on any individual channel, or that's not what I'm really trying to do. Even if I dislike any particular channels, I'll never really call that out, because that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to talk more high level about mindset shifts and fitness culture issues as a culture, not individual attacks, and hopefully just put you on the right direction. So yeah, I know this video is a little bit different than some of my others, but I realize that if you are on YouTube watching my channel, you're probably on YouTube watching other fitness channels, and I just, I have issues with a lot of YouTube fitness, so kind of hoping I can guide you on the right direction to a fitness journey that feels good for you. So yeah, let me know if you found this video helpful, if you like me having this more topic, or it just felt a little too out there for you. If you disagree, I just ask you to please be respectful in the comments. I read them. If there is anything hateful you put in the comments, I'm just gonna end up blocking it and reporting it. So please just be respectful in the comment section. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on YouTube fitness, you know, finding guidance that feels positive in your fitness journey. Just would love to hear your thoughts. Uh, and if you found this valuable, please consider subscribing and sharing with your communities. We recently passed 700 subscribers, as I've mentioned, hoping we can get to 800 subscribers maybe in the next month or two. That would be awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. You can watch another video here, and I'll see you for the next one.